With the help of the Almighty, Salam Alaikum, I pray to the Almighty to bestow upon me His truth, His wisdom, that I may be worthy of conveying His message, and that we should be able to sanctify the name of the Almighty and bring peace to the world, inshallah. First, I would like to express my gratitude to the organizers, the PLF, Palestinian Foundation of Pakistan, His Excellency Mr. Hashami and His Excellency Mr. Sabir for inviting us. And in truth, we had a great pleasure, and it would have been a great honor to us to be able to be there personally to attend this conference, which is the Palestine Solidarity Conference. And just at the last moment, unfortunately, a technical issue arose that we could not go. With the help of the Almighty, we hope to have the opportunity to come and celebrate a free Palestine very soon in the immediate future, and that we should be able to come and celebrate all together, either in Al-Quds, in Jerusalem, and in Pakistan, together with all my good friends over there. In the meantime, though, let me just convey at least a small message to the conference, to the attendees of this conference. And again, we pray to the Almighty that this message should go out to the beautiful country of Pakistan and throughout the world through this conference, that the world should understand and know this issue of the Nakba, the oppression of the people of Palestine, and what the whole issue is, what this terrible tragedy of the oppression of Palestine, of Nakba, what it is all about. Unfortunately, the Zionists and the State of Israel has portrayed the issue of this terrible Nakba as an issue, as a religious conflict. In other words, that the people, the Arab people and the people mostly of the Muslim people, detest and do not accept the Jewish people or people of any other religion. And there could not be anything further from the truth. History attests to the fact that the Jewish people have enjoyed the graciousness and hospitality throughout the world, in Muslim countries, in Arab countries, for hundreds and hundreds of years, when there was no United Nations or human rights groups to protect us, and yet we flourished as religious Jewish communities in the midst, amongst the Arab people, the Muslim people. And this is a fact that anybody can go to any Muslim country and see the synagogues, the knesses, and the cemeteries with the dates till recently, till Zionism, that Jewish people really flourished in these countries. So the issue in truth is that the terrible tragedy that called Zionism is the root cause and the sole reason for this terrible Nakba that is happening in Palestine. In other words, there is a movement, an ideology called Zionism that portrays itself to represent Judaism and the Jewish people. In truth, Zionism is a transformation from the Jewish religion into a base material concept. It is a transformation from a subservience to God, from spirituality, into a base nationalistic goal to have a piece of land. It was created around 150 years ago. While the Jewish religion is thousands of years old, this ideology of Zionism is a mere 130 years, 150 years. So this whole issue of Zionism representing Judaism is a simple farce. There could be a fallacy. There could be nothing further from the truth. Yet the Zionists have hijacked and stolen the Star of David, the name Israel, all the identity of the Jewish people, in order to fool the world, to con the world into believing that they are representing a godliness, a religion. And in so doing, they can intimidate the world and vilify anybody who stands in opposition to their goal of taking over the Holy Land. We as Jewish people who are true to the Jewish religion, but as I am speaking, I'm not speaking of my personal views. We're speaking about the view of the people who are true to the Jewish religion around the world, in occupied Palestine and throughout the world, where we have our colleagues in occupied Palestine and in every country where there's a Jewish community. Invariably, the more the religious, the more anti-Zionist. Why? Because Judaism, as I've said, is subservience to the Almighty, and it doesn't permit us in any manner, shape or form to have our own sovereignty. The Jewish people accepted their religion, their subservience to God around 3,000 years ago on Mount Sinai, and then we were given the Holy Land, and anybody who can look in the Torah, in the Old Testament, in the books of the prophets, we were warned by God that we have to be a very high level of holiness. If not, we will be driven from the land as the Canaanites who served idols were driven from the land. And the Jews accepted the stipulation, and eventually with the destruction of the temple around 2,000 years ago, the Jews were sent into exile, and we were put under oath by God, 3 oaths. And this is a prophecy of King Solomon, that we are not in any manner, we are not to go up, we are not to try to end the exile, this decreed godly exile that came about with the destruction of the temple. One oath is not that we are not to try to return in mass, in large numbers. As individuals, we were able to live there under the rule of whoever was ruling at the time. But to return in mass, we are forbidden. Second oath is that we are not to rebel against any nation. We have to be loyal citizens in every country we're residing. And thirdly, we are not to make any attempt to end this godly decreed exile. Now, this would be for the concept of a sovereignty, a Jewish sovereignty, even 1 inch is that it is forbidden for us, would be regardless if it affects other people. In other words, in an uninhabited land, we would still be forbidden to make our own sovereignty. And Jews accepted this. Throughout the 2,000 years of exile, we never, throughout our trials and tribulations, we never tried to make a Jewish state. Yes, Jews asked the rabbis, and there is responses from the Maimonides, the Rambam, and throughout through the generations, by the Spanish Inquisition and so forth, Jews asked the rabbis, should we buy a piece of land? And the rabbis always told them, their leaders always said, have patience, God is compassionate, we are forbidden to make our own sovereignty. We are waiting patiently as Jewish people for the day when the Almighty will reveal His glory throughout the world and all humanity will recognize the one God. That will be a miraculous happening without any human intervention. When all humanity will recognize one God, then we believe that we will, we say in Hebrew, all the nations will join hands and we will go up and serve God. At that time, we will go back to the Holy Land as a people, not as a state of Israel, but as a people to serve God with the coming of the Mashiach, the Messiah, that we believe will come. And then God will rebuild the temple Himself. This is a Jewish belief. This is the core of our Judaism, that we yearn for the closeness to God, and that we were driven from the land is not that we are now in exile lacking a land. We are lacking the closeness to God, and the only solution to that is not that we should take arms, which is forbidden for us to do, to take arms and force our way back, but that when God, with His compassion, as God is Hu Rachum, He is the most compassionate, He's totally compassionate, and He will, with His compassion, end exile, then we will go up and serve Him. Any attempt prior to that, to preempt that, is forbidden for us. And this is, as I said, even in an uninhabited land, and we've accepted this. We've never tried to make a state. The concept of making this in Palestine a state is doubly sinful, because now it is being created in the land that was inhabited by a people. And therefore, to subjugate these people, to banish them, to exile the people of Palestine, is a sin, a cardinal sin. We're not allowed to steal, we're not allowed to kill. and etc. So all that is being done to the Palestinian people is forbidden by the Torah. We are, our hearts are torn. We cry throughout the world. The Jewish people who are true to the Torah, we cry and we hurt by what is being done to the Palestinian people, and that they are living in refugee camps, and all the suffering, the endless suffering that they're going through. We also want the people of Palestine to know, and the people who are in Lebanon and wherever they're suffering because of this Zionist entity called the State of Israel, that there is Jewish people who stand up since day one, since the State of Israel came to being, and even prior to that, when they started making their attempts for a state, the Jewish people stood up and demonstrated and were murdered. And we kept on demonstrating, and we will never stop demonstrating. Here we have a letter from the Chief Rabbi of Palestine in 1947. And this is a book called Historic Documents. We have compiled letters, documents, pictures, and many issues showing what the Zionists are, and that the Jews who are true to Judaism oppose this. Here we have a letter from the Chief Rabbi of Palestine in 1947 to the United Nations, that they presented to the United Nations. And I'll just read one sentence where he writes, "We furthermore wish to express our definite opposition to a Jewish state in any part of Palestine." This was in July 16, 1947. And a few months later, 4 months later, in November, when they saw they were being ignored by the United Nations, he wrote another letter to the Secretary General of the United Nations, where he wrote, "The Jewish Orthodox community, Eid Chareidus of Jerusalem, comprising 60,000 souls, objects to the plea of including Jerusalem in the state, in the Jewish state, and or its residents becoming automatically citizens of the Jewish state. Our community demands that Jerusalem be an international zone under your protection, with full autonomy. Its residents be free citizens of the international zone of Jerusalem," and it's signed Chief Rabbi J.Z. Dushinsky. So that is just to show that we pleaded with the United Nations. We don't want in any shape or form a so-called Jewish state, which it isn't a Jewish state. Here I'll show you pictures of demonstrations of Jewish people demonstrating. You can see tens of thousands of people. This picture is, for instance, in front of the White House when Netanyahu came to visit Obama just 2 summers ago. And this is ongoing. There's always these demonstrations, tens of thousands of people. These same demonstrations that you will see, this happens throughout the world wherever there's a large Jewish community. This is, again, you can see on our site at nkusa.org, and links, you can see the pictures of these demonstrations. Here's in Mea Sha'arim, in Kikar Shabbos it's called, in the center of Jerusalem, in our center of Al-Quds. Tens and tens of thousands of people, maybe hundreds of thousands, demonstrating against the existence of the State of Israel. This is all over the world, but it happens in London, it happens in, this is in Manhattan, and throughout the world. Just to show that, although the Zionists try to portray to the world that the Jews are supporting them, the truth is that the ones who are true to the Torah, invariably, the more religious around the world, have stood at the beginning, since Zionism came about until today, stand in total opposition to the existence of the state and to the crimes that they perpetrate against the people. This is again pictures of in Jerusalem and other places in the Holy Land. This is pictures of in the United States. Better pictures can be seen on our site. You can see the terrible, what the Jewish people, because of course time doesn't allow me to get into all the suffering of the Palestinian people, but you all know this, and then I'm confident that the conference will be talking about this. But here, these things aren't shown. As you see, Jews are being brutally beaten, and this is ongoing. Jews are brutally beaten by the Zionist police, by the Zionist army, and the world does not know about this, they don't see this. And Jews have been assassinated since the beginning, and maybe I always like to mention that was probably the first famous martyr was a Jewish person in 1924 when they were demonstrating, when they were trying to make the world aware, and the people in Britain, the parliament, that the Jewish people do not support the State of Israel. So there was a diplomat who was a very famous person in Denmark, His name was Dr. Dahan. May his blood be avenged. He stood together with the chief rabbi of Palestine, Rabbi Sonnenfeld, introduced him to and brought him together with the King Hussein of the Hejaz in 1924. And Rabbi Sonnenfeld expressed the Jewish loyalty to the Arab and Muslim community and the friendship. And Dr. Dahan expressed his will to go within the few days afterwards to the British Parliament. And he was assassinated in front of Shari Tzedek Hospital in the center of Jerusalem in 1924, July 1st, 1924. Maybe the first famous martyr was a Jewish fellow. And this is, since then, the sad history is that Jews were beaten, murdered by the Zionists. And we have many pictures of many of these facts. Our last representative in the Palestinian Authority, who was Rabbi Moshe Hirsch of blessed memory, just passed away like 2 years ago. He was blind in one eye and just barely was able to see in the other because acid was poured in his face by the Zionists. So we would like the world to know that we commiserate, our hearts are rent, we cry with the people of Palestine, we suffer with the people of Palestine, we feel their suffering, and we are humiliated at what is being done in our name. And let the world know that we are also being oppressed as Jewish people by being brutally beaten by the Zionists and oppressed. As we're speaking, Jews are in prison. Jews are beaten and murdered by the Zionists in the heart of the Holy Land, whether it is in Quds, in Jerusalem, or in many other places. Wherever there's a Jewish community in Palestine, they're being oppressed and beaten, murdered by the Zionists. We are all praying, and we turn our eyes to the Almighty for a speedy and peaceful and total dismantlement of this Satan, the Zionist state of Israel, this Zionist entity, and with God's help, with inshallah, with the removal of this abomination, this impediment to peace, then Jews and Arabs, then we can live, Jews and these can live together with all the countries of the world, and the Muslim countries of the world, and around the world with everybody in peace, as history attests that we've been coexisting in harmony and enjoying the gracious hospitality that has been given to the Jewish people, and that we are required by the Almighty to show our gratitude for this. We will be able to express this once again to the people throughout the world, the Muslim and Arab countries, and the people of Palestine, with God's help, a free Palestine, the given sovereignty to the Palestinian people, so we could, again, as I say, live together in harmony, express our thankfulness to them. Ultimately, we pray for the day, which is what we are yearning for as a Jewish people, as the closeness to God, that we were banished from, unfortunately, with the destruction of the temple, we were banished from as a people from the Holy Land. We were banished from the closeness to God, and our yearning is prayer for the day when the Almighty will reveal His glory throughout the world, where all humanity will recognize the one God. Then we will be able to all join hands and go up and serve God and peace and harmony all together, and there will be true peace on the world. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you, all of you.